I loved this chapter for many obvious reasons, because it is so related to wellness and mindfulness. But there was another reason, and I felt like it was speaking directly to me. So Lisa Miller writes a story about Walter and how he discovered his calling. And Walter was also inspired by Howard Thurman. That's his name, right?
That's right, yeah.
So many years ago, I had come across some of the writings of Howard Thurman, and I felt like it was being poured into me. So when I read that chapter, I thought, I really, outside of my discovery, I really don't hear about this person. So I just thought, this book is meant for me. What did you feel or think when you read about that example of Walter finding his purpose?
You just highlighted spectacularly what Lisa Miller talks about in terms of synchronicity. The whole story is about synchronicity, and then you engaging in that demonstrated that synchronicity carried to you as well. So, well,
the beauty is in the awareness that this man and his thoughts and his teachings have entered into Walter's life, and that there's been this beautiful thread throughout Walter's life of the impact, the experience, the blessing that Howard Thurman has been, and that he's aware of it. And I think that's part of the key, is that sometimes things come to us, they appear to us, they're given to us, and we don't even notice.
Right.
And Walter noticed.
Well, it's also about learning to pay attention to these events that happen that are not, they're not obvious, like to the obvious, like to the eye, but they are more sensation based. Like, I feel this to be true.
And that's actually a huge part of that story, is that when Walter engages with Howard, and he's asking Howard's input as to what should I do with my life, what am I called to do, and Howard teaches him how to be a listener, to be open, to be aware, right? He didn't understand how to do that before Howard introduced that to him. And so he tells him, I love how he describes it. He says, you're like a little boy in front of the Christmas tree with all these gifts, and you don't know which one to open first. And all he says to Walter is, just be still, be quiet, and let God speak to you. And whatever voice you hear inside, that will give you that guidance, that direction as to what you're called to do. And throughout his life, he was then open to listening. And by listening, he was able then to determine what he was going to do. He even ends up, being the world-renowned expert on Howard Thurman, simply because he allowed himself that awareness, and he learned that from Howard.
Well, and it's not about being led by the achieving mind.
No.
Right. You're being led by listening to what cannot be seen but felt.
That's right. Being open to that still small voice within, and knowing when it is the voice of the Spirit, the voice of the divine, instead of our own voice, because we do talk to ourselves an awful lot.
True.
For me, the litmus test for that is this the most loving thing I can do?
Oh.
And if it is, then I think that's God.
Oh, can you just break that down a little bit? So is this the most loving thing, or is this the most loving response, or is this the most loving way to approach this person? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Because God is in that love. God is love. So I know that when what I'm hearing is just pure love, that it is the kindest, most generous, sweetest, most loving thing that I could be doing, then I know that's the voice of the divine.
Do you think that we have to train that into each other, into our society, or do you think that some of us are born knowing that? Because how do you come to understand and listen? Like, what do you know? Like, how do you know what to pay attention to?
So I do think that we are born with the ability to be open and aware. I think children are often very much more open and aware than adults are. We learn to put the blinkers on and close ourselves to what we want to achieve, to meeting our goals. And I sometimes wonder if that's what Jesus was talking about when he said that we should become like little children, that we should become more open and able to engage with life when life reaches out to us.
Even in the darkest moments, in the hardest moments.
Absolutely, yes. But I think, as Sue-Ann said, I think we're born with the capacity. But I do think how we are nurtured and what our environment is as we age and we develop determines whether we continue with that openness or whether we close that. So when we were talking about Walter, for instance, his initial assumption was that he was going to be a lawyer. His achieving brain was telling him that was what he was called to do. And it was only by being encouraged to be open and shown how to do that again that he then makes the decision that he should follow a different path.
But it's the rejection, isn't it? It's the rejection of not getting into one of the programs that helps him to be open. Is that right?
I think it helps to guide his choice, but I think that sense of being open is something that he was encouraged and shown how to do by Howard Thurman. I don't think that was something that he was engaging in before that.
But sometimes it is those setbacks or those losses in our lives that kind of force us to take stock, to rethink, to be more open, because the path has become bumpy. When it's smooth, it's easy to just kind of keep our heads down and move ahead.
Yes.
But, when the road gets tough, when we've fallen and need to pick ourselves back up, when we've been sick or hurt, that I think is really when we are most open to finding new ways forward, new life-giving, healing ways.
Earlier we told you, because you asked us about our journey toward being priests, and it was us going through some very challenging times that we then took stock. And it wasn't that we decided to do something that we had never thought of before. We had just assumed that that's not what we could do or should do, that we were supposed to be doing the things we were doing, only doing more and doing better and so on. And it was only when we took that stock and said, wait a second, what do we really feel called to do? And that was when that awakened awareness led us down a completely different path.